Now, concern has been raised about the constitutionality of the traditional and Khoi-San leadership bill, which has just been signed into law by President Cyril Ramaphosa. That act, for the first time, gives a statutory recognition to Khoi and San communities. It also aims to align traditional and Khoi and San institutions with the Bill of Rights. Now, while some have welcomed the new legislation, its constitutionality is set to be challenged. I'm now joined on the line for more on this by Xolobeni activist and Nonhle Mbuthuma. Thanks so much for your time on SABC News. You'll remember that the Xolobeni community has been fiercely against a proposed titanium mine in the area. So you, having experienced that dissonance that sometimes comes when government and communities don't agree on what to do with the land, what's your take on this bill?
Thank you very much, and also good afternoon to the listeners. Immediately when we heard that the President just signed this traditional Khoi-San bill, it's a shock and a disappointment, because we know that this rush of signing this bill is not about recognizing the Khoi, but it's about taking it away from us. As you know that the court judgment of Xolobeni, it stated clear that the people of Xolobeni must give a full, free, prior informed consent. But when you look at this traditional Khoi-San bill, it just gives only the traditional leaders and also the state that they must consent. The question that we have, why our government is so undemocratic, because you cannot just give only one person to decide of everybody. When is the time of people they're going to govern for themselves? Why they push so much that this judgment must be, this bill must be a law. And we understand that the only purpose of pushing this, of course, is to bury the Xolobeni judgment that gives the right to say no. And the problem for that, in the case of Xolobeni, is that our judgment still stands, even if they change the laws after our judgment. But they trying to stop other communities to support or to use the judgment in their own struggle to say the right to say no.
So perhaps you could then share with us your experiences of challenging government when it comes to legislation, when it comes to what happens when the laws don't favor the communities, and how you've dealt with that.
We're experiencing a rough time in a democratic country where we've been brutally harsh by the police, where there is assassination in our community, where we're going caught in and out, where we're challenging the injustice that is happening in the democratic country. And right now, we cannot live like that. This democratic is for all of us, not only the individuals. And as now, they are pushing no matter what we're saying, because the government that is leading this country today, it just think that development must start from them, which is a top-down approach. And we are challenging that system as well. And experience is where our people, our women, they are giving the early birth children because of we've been shot in our houses because of we say no to mining, we say no to development of somebody. Now, we are condemning our own state. We have a voice, and we are the people of South Africa. We must be listened.
Mm-hmm. What do you think is behind these challenges that you've just highlighted? I had a guest earlier on who was speaking about the elitism perhaps that comes when people make decisions that affect whole communities in silos, in clusters of privilege. What do you think is behind these challenges that communities like yours are facing?
Capitalism. The capitalism, it's more leading. We are no longer a socialist where people, they're going to decide on themselves. The capitalism is just ahead of everybody. That is the agenda that is being pushed by our people in the name of the socialism. That is the biggest problem that we are facing. That is why we're saying that we're going to challenge also this law where the president just signed that is so unconstitutional. It cannot, in this country, that we can allow the law that it was being used during the apartheid government. As a country, we cannot going backwards. We need to go forward.
Thanks so much for your time on SABC News. Xolobeni activist Nonhle Mbuthuma joining me on the line there, discussing that. Before we let you go, perhaps you can speak to us about when communities mobilize in these different parts of the countries to react to what government perhaps does with their land. Is there communication over the type of issues that they have or the kind of experiences that they have? Or is also one of the challenges that it's done in silos and people then have to start from the beginning instead of, like you're saying earlier on, referring to the Xolobeni judgment and using that to try and make sure that they can enforce their protected rights?
We just call upon all the other communities that they must stand up. Now, the time for sitting and waiting for Jesus to come, because Jesus is not going to come back. Stand up for ourselves. And we need to be in solidarity. We need to work together to fight this capitalism that is ruling or is running this country. And we cannot allow our country to be on auction, because right now the economy is being owned by somebody somewhere. And that is why I call upon all the other communities, all the other affected mining communities to come together, because as a country, we are countries that we are so poor. If these minerals are serving or are just there to give to try to fight the poverty, why the country is so much in poverty?